Welcome to another lessons with Ming. Today we'll talk about radicals, or you can think of this as square root, right? Square root of x. And look at why do we need this concept, right? For example, if you have a square, so for example a plot of land, and this plot of land is a square plot of land, and you know the area of this plot of land, square plot of land is a square, and you want to ask, well, what is the a side? Well, the side in this case, we ask this question by saying, well, what is the side? What is the side? What is the side? What is the length of the side of a square that gives an area a square, for example, right? So this particular question is in English, and this question is translated mathematically into this thing. For example, square root of a square, for example, square root of a square. And obviously we know the answer to this, because what do I have to multiply together to get a square? For the answer is a, right? Because here is a, for example, and here is a. So this square root of a square is a. In fact, this is one of the rules that we need to use for radicals. So basically this. And if you have a square root of 16, then what do I have to multiply together to get 16? Well, the answer here is 4. Well, you can also say, well, how about negative 4? That's true. Negative 4 times negative 4 give you 16 as well. But here, the sign here is plus. So if I don't write anything here, then we assume that the sign for this radical is positive. If you want a negative, then you have after this square root of 9, for example. What do I have to multiply together, a negative number, such that I'll get 9? So when you have it, negative 3 times negative 3 give you a 9. Alright? So similarly, we would have something like this. 25, that will be 5. 5 squared is 25. What do I have to multiply together to get 25? Answer is 5. Similarly, if I have to answer this question, negative of 36, what do you think the answer is? That would be good. The answer is negative 6. Negative 6 times negative 6 give me 36. Right. Instead of having this, perfect, square, we could have also something like this as well. Square root of 5, square root of 3, square root of 1. Square root of 1, by the way, is actually just 1. Okay. Do we put a plus minus sign out here? Well, we put a plus minus sign if we want to. Now, a lot of students confuse. They think that square root of, let's say, 49 is equal to plus minus 7. This is incorrect, right? That's incorrect. This is because they're confused with this particular question. For example, you will have a plus minus if you consider doing something like this. For example, a 2x is equal to, for example, 32. Right? 2x squared is equal to 32, for example. So x squared is equal to 16. So x, when you're solving equation like this, then you have to put square root plus minus 16. So in this particular case, x here is 4, or x here is negative 4. Or you can write it as plus minus 4 as well. This or this is both acceptable. This is okay, that's okay as well. So we have a plus minus like this. So you can think of square root here, or the radical is the inverse of square as well. It's the inverse of square. Okay, so moving on. What happens if I have something like this? Square root of a to the power of 2. That means square root a squared. For square root of a squared, we can expand that. If you expand this, you will see that this is this. Square root of a times square root of a. Well, remember, this is basically just a times a, like this. Right, this is another root. When you have something like this, I can combine them together like that. So that becomes square root of a squared. So you have basically these two things are exactly the same. In fact, this is the inverse of the square root is the inverse of the power 2. So here the square root and the power 2 cancel off, and you are left with a. So it's the same here. Right? Here you have a square root of and a squared. So the square and the square root cancel each other off, and you're left with a. So this is one thing. From here, another rule that you should remember is AB is this. For example, right? How do we use this? Example could be like this: square root of, let's say, 12. This is a square root of 4 times 3, for example. 4 times 3 is 12. Then separately, so basically the radical can be distributed, right, to the individual term in the product. So this becomes 2, and that's square root of 3. And we usually write the coefficient in front of the radical and not behind the radical. So for example, we do not write something like this, because this can be confused. Sometimes people confuse it to be square root of 32, which is completely different from what I wanted to write. If you insist to write the coefficient at the back, I'll suggest you to write square root of 3 and then bracket 2, like this. Right, square root of 3 bracket 2 if you insist. But it is preferable to have the coefficient in front, the radical.